Hello everyone and welcome to our roadmap to a greener future. I'm James Haddon, Key Account Manager of Polypipe Civils and Green Urbanisation. We are very proud to be this year's titled sponsor for Highways UK Online. I'm joined today by three colleagues, Stuart, Charlotte and John, to talk to you in detail about how we can become partners on your projects and hopefully help deliver on your sustainability goals such as reduced carbon, environment impact, biodiversity and resilience, and how our recycled plastic materials can help achieve these KPIs. Polypipe Civils are known as a market leader for drainage, attenuation and ducting systems. We've been supplying infrastructure projects for over 30 years, working collaboratively with contractors and designers, providing trusted products and support from cradle to grave. Throughout our history, we've been at the forefront of innovating surface water drainage. As you all know, to meet SUD regulations, highway drainage systems are often designed to attenuate and restrict the discharge rate using flow controls and oversized pipe networks. Our Ridgistorm XL pipe and chambers are plug and play, saving time and money, and up to 94% lighter than traditional materials and 30% faster to install. As you can see on this 3-meter diameter chamber, you can imagine how hard this would have been to construct using traditional materials. The head wall would have required shuttering and formwork, and the channeling would have required wet trays and people working in confined spaces. By fabricating off-site in a clean and dry environment, these units turn up fully fitted with steps and flow controls ready to be dropped into the ground. This means a much better quality of the final product and huge health and safety benefits. Now with full HAPAS BBA approval, we can assist with departures from standards and AIPs on systems over 900 millimeters. At the beginning of the year, we changed our name to include Green Urbanisation. Later in this presentation, Charlotte further demonstrates how important this redefining name change is for our greener future. In simple terms, there's no green without blue. As a market leader, we can make a huge difference by including smart, sustainable ecosystems on our highway designs, setting the bar on green urbanisation, creating a legacy for our projects and its end users. As a business, we've also invested millions on our in-house state-of-the-art polymer processing plant, turning plastic bottles into engineered pipe. Nearly 100% of the product range we supply into the highway sector is made from recycled material. If you haven't already, please check out the full video on our wash plant on our homepage. I'm now going to hand you over to Stuart Romella, our Divisional Head of Research and Innovation.
Thanks for the introduction, James. To start with, I'm going to briefly talk to you about the different types of recycling and how we utilise them within Polypipe Civils and Green Urbanisation. To start with, on the left-hand side of this slide, it's worth looking at the typical unsustainable life cycle for all products and materials that results in a majority of products going to landfill with an ever-decreasing amount recycled. This has obviously contributed a lot to the way we have depleted the world's natural resources and polluted our natural environment, with single-use plastic products attracting a lot of media attention recently, being something particularly specific to the plastics industry. This has been driven by consumerism and has required us to make better choices in the way we design and manufacture products, but also how we select appropriate materials that deliver the performance we need across multiple product life cycles. Moving on to the centre, we then have open loop recycling. This is where there is still a non-recycled material input, something we refer to as virgin material in the plastics industry. The material then gets recycled to some degree at the end of its life, and whether that's being reprocessed to make more raw material for the manufacture of new products, or being incinerated to capture some of the material's locked-in energy. But the important stage that is removed is the landfill or disposal stage. Open loop recycling is viewed as being a worse option than closed loop recycling, which I'm going to move on to. But before I do, I wanted to challenge this notion. as although the existence of exit points from the life cycle would indicate it is slightly worse, we have to consider the functional lifespan of the product in making this evaluation. So what do I mean by that? Closed loop recycling is the nirvana of recycling with no exit points and a continuous loop of production, use and reprocessing. This is the purest form of recycling, which is why it is perhaps considered the most sustainable. However, this isn't so straightforward with polymers. For each loop of this cycle, the material is degraded during its operational life and through reprocessing, which has an impact on the material's functional properties. It is typical that polymers can only be reprocessed 2 or a maximum of 3 times before you see an irretrievable breakdown in the polymer chains and it becomes degraded so much so that it is unusable. This is where functional lifespan has an impact on how sustainable a material is and perhaps exposes closed-loop recycling as unachievable for plastics. A product that is designed with open-loop recycling in mind that lasts 50 years before it is recycled is far more sustainable than a product that lasts a year before being closed-loop recycled. At Polypipe, we have exactly this situation. We are taking packaging materials in the form of plastic bottles that arguably have an average functional lifespan of a year, and we are recycling them and then putting them into a product such as Rigidrain that has a minimum of 50 years of functional life. This is quite a contrast, and if you look at the potential total functional life, you may yield a total lifespan of 3 years for a plastic bottle in a closed loop system before the material is completely degraded and has to be disposed of or goes on to contaminate purer forms of material. Alternatively, you can get a minimum of 150 years in a plastic pipe within an open loop process. So how are we using post-consumer plastics in our products? James briefly mentioned the Polypipe Civils polymer processing plant, which is located at our production facility in Lincolnshire. At this facility, we are taking post-consumer polyethylene bottles along with a host of other unwanted material mixed in. We separate the different materials before sending the unrequired materials for further reprocessing and taking the polyethylene onwards through a multi-stage process that culminates in a material that is then used in the manufacture of various products within our portfolio. One of the big challenges in using post-consumer polyethylene bottles is ensuring the quality of supply is good enough to meet the performance requirements of the products it's used in. The very nature of how many different grades of polyethylene are in existence and the methods used to collect post-consumer waste results in a variability in the raw material that can impact the product's performance. We are therefore careful in identifying reliable sources of post-consumer waste through our purchasing team, but we have also invested significantly in sophisticated material testing equipment that allows us to continuously monitor the material properties and ensure that the material's durability over its functional lifetime is going to meet our specification. The sustainable journey from post-consumer waste to material finally ends in a variety of different products, with some shown here. Polypipe is always looking to increase its impact on sustainability without compromising product quality and performance, and as such there are products within our range that are made from material other than that derived from our polymer reprocessing plant, but are either purchased recycled materials to our exacting standards or are virgin materials that can be recycled. The reasons behind this are nearly always performance related, as we will always ensure the material used is suitable for the end product's intended use. However, we are always looking to innovate and find different ways of incorporating recycled material into our product ranges and make them even more sustainable. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Charlotte Markey, who is our Green Urbanisation Innovation Manager.
Thank you, Stuart, for that overview of our sustainability credentials at Polypipe. And now I'll give you a roadmap to a greener future and how we can be strategically aligned with the environmental, biodiversity and efficiency objectives of Highways England. How can we help Highways England align with its performance goals and make these visions a reality? Well, there's some really interesting aspects of these 6 pillars here. We've got the themes of resilience, reliability, better environmental outcomes, the needs or inclusive needs of all users and efficient delivery. And Polypipe can help with all these aspects including safety for all. A well-maintained resilient network means that we need to mitigate against the damage caused by flood risk. Better environmental outcomes mean we need tree planting solutions and constructive wetland solutions that will deliver better environmental outcomes for the long term, not just in the interim. When we talk about safety, Polypipe have an excellent track record of quality product. And meeting the needs of all users means that we don't need to just get people from A to B. They need to have a psychologically and health and well-being benefit when they travel on the network. And efficient delivery means working with partners in the supply chain, such as ourselves, who have, again, a very good track record of getting product to site when it's required and working at scale. So what is green urbanisation, and how can we incorporate green and blue infrastructure for our highways and linear assets? Well, it's about combined volumetric and green asset resilience. And by this I mean we incorporate green infrastructure into the water management framework, which enables us to collect, separate, clean, and importantly, reuse, attenuate and release water when we want to in a smart way with added smart technologies. And we're not just dealing with volumes of stormwater with Polypipe solutions, we're using unique passive irrigation technologies within our Permavoid and Polystorm solutions to enable us to passively irrigate our green infrastructure so that we can reduce the amount of potable water that's being used, which really gives us a circular economy approach and a resource efficient approach to our schemes. It's a new generation of technologies to optimise urban green assets through an extended and fully integrated sustainable water management network, which means that working with highways teams across the country, we can add climate change resilience, we can help achieve those biodiversity net gain goals that we know Highways England have, and of course are mandated within the government's 25-year environment plan. We can also incorporate carbon offset as well and show the efficiency of some of our recycled plastic materials over other solutions such as concrete. We can also ensure that we use source control SUDS, which is much cheaper and more efficient and more environmentally beneficial than just relying on expensive end of pipe solutions or deep attenuation alone. We can passively irrigate a number of different projects at different scales, and we can hydraulically model what our green infrastructure interventions will provide and the co-benefits that can be derived. And this image just shows our unique Permavoid system, which started life as a sub-base replacement, but we've engaged in so much research and development and innovation. We use this for tree planting, optimised SUDS, and much more. Tree planting is at the core of our green urbanisation agenda. If we look at the HS2 project, for example, 7 million trees are being planted on this huge national infrastructure project. This image here shows you how we can use our Permavoid system to both passively irrigate the tree, or indeed we could just have the top layer of Permavoid, as you can see, beneath the paved surface, which enables us to ensure that the tree will establish long-term by avoiding soil compaction, providing the right soil volume for the tree, and ensuring that aeration, irrigation and nutrition are delivered to the tree pit below the ground. Indeed, it would sometimes seem counterintuitive putting a natural organism into a hard landscaped environment. And it's all about the soil. Good quality soil is key. And we can also incorporate our trees into our modular wetland systems and indeed into our rain gardens as well. This is just one such image here. And of course, this doesn't just stop at discrete interventions. SUDS are connected. So with our new smart technologies, we can get our SUDS systems to talk to each other, if you will, to pass water between SUDS components and to use smart cloud-based data to link live meteorological data to how we monitor the water levels within our systems. Urban roads and cycle paths are a huge part of how we can embed resilience also, and it can provide using Permavoid, water treatment, protection of assets such as existing and new trees, protection of hard landscape surfaces, longevity, again using passive irrigation. And because our Permavoid is a proven solid structural subbase, it's a very popular choice for cycle superhighways and networks that cover more active travel along our linear assets. This enables us to incorporate placemaking and amenity. So thinking about the 4 pillars of SUDS that we see in the Syria guide, we're not just dealing with water quantity, we can also incorporate our many treatment options, to enhance water quality. And then we've got those pillars of amenity and biodiversity being incorporated within our new green urbanisation product offering. And a final case study just to show the ability of our units to work along linear assets. This is a scheme that we did in Hammersmith and Fulham, one of the boroughs of London most at risk of surface water flooding. And we work with utilities companies and stakeholders and engage in a lot of research and innovation to show the benefits of using integrated green infrastructure with engineered solutions such as Permavoid to remove water from the combined sewer network. And indeed, if we think about the water management hierarchy, source control is at the top of the chain, and actually discharge into combined sewers, if we look at sewers for adoption A, is at the bottom. It's the last point of attack, really. We want to be managing more water at source. And indeed, Thames Water were delighted with the results from our Permavoid retrofit project, because not only could we keep water out of the network, we could model the catchment of each tree pit, how much water we could take. And it also enabled us to work with communities and engage stakeholders. Oftentimes we look at water and water management, but we don't see it as a visible asset. It's often being dealt with too far down and not close enough to surface, which is one of the philosophies of green urbanisation. Keep it close to surface and provide people with a green, visible asset. And I will hand over to John Moss now to talk to you about how Polypipe have evolved to meet the challenges of climate change.
Thank you, Charlotte. Hi, my name is John Moss. I'm the Business Development Director for Key Accounts at Polypipe Civils. We at Polypipe are proud to have supplied Highways England projects since the early 90s, and I would like to take you through our journey from the formation of Polypipe Civils in 1997 to the present day. Back in 1996, Polypipe acquired two companies, Norflex and B&H, and along with Aquapipes, which was acquired a few years earlier, Polypipe Civils was formed in 1997. Before the formation of Polypipe Civils, it's fair to say that we could be classed as a component-based manufacturer. However, when we formed Polypipe Civils and amalgamated the product ranges from the three companies, we adopted a systems-based approach to the markets, adding duct from B&H and Linflex from Norflex to our drain offer that we already had with Aquapipes. In 2004, we entered the subs market with the introduction of polystone attenuation systems and supplied, amongst others, the M25 widening product. This complemented our systems and for the first time allowed us to get into a solutions-based approach with our water management offer. Polypipe Civils also added Rigistone XL range of pipes and fittings and chambers up to 3 metres in diameter with full HAPAS approvals, again adding to our solutions offer. This brings us to this year's launch of Polypipe Civils GU, where, as you heard from Charlotte's presentation, takes into some smart-based web solutions. As I always say, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and this is our Horncastle site back in 1996, when we acquired the Norflex operation. And this is the present day. You can see how the site has grown from 5 acres to over 30 acres, and the land highlighted in red is going to develop shortly for extra storage and loading facilities, so that we can hopefully continue to supply HE projects for the next 30 years.
Brilliant. Thank you, John, and 3 great presentations. It's great to see how our business has evolved over the years to meet the challenges of climate change, and a very inspiring message from Charlotte on green urbanisation. I hope this presentation has shown that we're more than just a pipe manufacturer, and by working collaboratively with Polypipe Civils and green urbanisation, we can achieve the 6 performance goals set by Highways England together over the next 5 years. If you have any questions, please pop them into our live chat or feel free to book an appointment with myself, James Haddon, or a member of our team today. I hope you're all enjoying the event so far, and thank you for watching our roadmap to a greener future.